Oh, man. Sorry. There was definitely this crossfade moment that I should have brought in and said we're live on the happy hour, but I had to fix a video shot for everybody watching us live on twitch.tv/Night Attack. Hello, beautiful bastards. It's Friday, in the end of our first week of happy hours. Whoa, that was my Rick Sanchez impression. How you doing, Justin?
Oh, man. I don't know what it is where these days just seem so much shorter yet longer, right? Like there's a bizarre time dilation.
Can I confess something? I had the weirdest thought, and I'm terribly afraid it'll be misconstrued and quoted out of context, but there was part of me that said, am I in heaven? Like, I wake up and I play with the kids and we get each other laughing, and then we swoop in to the master bedroom and disrupt Bonnie, who's doing her morning rituals, and she's chagrined as we're all giggling and laughing and making jokes or whatever, but she's trying to suppress this smile. And then I go into, this place, the 7 Acre Schwood. Look, I am certain that there'll be a moment that all of us, some people are already feeling pain, and I have no doubt that pain is coming for me. But for right now, I mean, if you know a comet is about to smash into planet Earth, what do? You hug your family. And you know what I bet feels pretty nice? That moment of hugging your family before the comet smashes into Earth.
Yeah, it's a little bit different in that you have a lot more of your life contained, right? And I think that there is a benefit to that, and there's probably I'm actually I haven't seen any kind of specific writing on this, but I do think that partly the divide between kind of like city and rural understanding of all this was that, like, in it for a lot of America, the idea of shelter at home is not all that different than what the life that they've kind of led. It's a little bit if anything, it might be a boon, like you're describing, that it's like, oh, okay, well, look, I get to be with my family.
Well, and I understand all of this comes from a place of extraordinary privilege, in that privilege, both in the fact that, being in the podcasting business, our job is to talk and think and watch and respond, and we can continue to do that from home. Also, privilege in the fact that in the cosmic roll of the dice, we just happen to have started, much like Cord Killers started 10 years ago, about the news of cord cutting before cord cutting was a thing. So it was the equivalent, we used to joke, of doing iPad today a good 7 years before the iPad ever came out, right? And so I'm very aware, and I don't want to for even a second indicate that I'm not super dialed into the massive, terrifying financial difficulties that people are going to deal with, especially those who are the hardworking folks of the service industry, and of course the heroes on the front line of everybody trying to fight this thing. But in this moment, my days consist of an awful lot of delightful moments, and I don't know. I'm just trying to be dialed in on. I'm trying to be thankful for this moment before the comet hits. How about that?
Sure. I look, I think that there is a human element to that. There is the reason why so many people are, part of it is shaking off the fact that this isn't vacation. I know for me that's partly it, that it's like, this isn't me doing a working vacation. This is the world that is kind of ending. But you would be forgiven if you thought that this was some sort of moment of celebration, as like HBO puts things on the internet for free. Like, you would think that this was some kind of Christmas celebration if you were to just come cold.
Yeah, by the way, my wife just showed up totally dripping wet, and that's not in a sexy way. So okay, do you want the cameras on, or? Yeah. Okay, so you got to turn on this camera, you got to turn on the lights, and I think we'll be able to make this work. It doesn't look like it's on. Yeah, we'll see if Bonnie can figure that out. But at any rate, it is downpouring right now in Austin, Texas, at a level like I've not seen in maybe half a year. And in fact, it's in the middle of a flash flood. It's so bad that I was over in the office shack, and I opened the door and I was like, oh, it's coming down too hard for me to walk back to the house. Let me just open up the Dark Skies app and see how long it's going to be this way. Dark Skies app says it is going to be 100% rain for the next hour and a half. And so I'm like, oh, it's not getting any better, right? And so then I thought, okay, well, I have to run all the way over there. And I was like, it is coming down so hard, I can't do that. And so I realized, well, what can I do? And I realized that what I could do is I can run to my car and then drive my car. So just running 20 feet through the car, I drove over to the house. It was ridiculous. Here, Bonnie, let me see if we can get. There we go. Grab that mic. Are you on? It looks like the cough button is turned off. There you go. There we go. Give us a chat.
Not
no.
quite.
There we go. There we go. One more time.
Hello. How is everybody?
Yeah, there we go. Also, I stole one of your lights. If you want to get really pro, you could grab that light that's over to your left, my right. The one that, nope, not that far. Isn't there one right there in front of you? Yeah, there you go. Turn on all the lights on that, and then we could see you. But holy cow, man. It is intense and brutal, and Bonnie put on 2 pounds of water weight just walking in the door.
I mean, this is supposed to be a light gray, and it's all dark, and I've got a umber.
So everybody who's here for that hot, wet T-shirt action, see Bonnie the Invisible Wife totally wet and ready to go. Congratulations. Your dream has been fulfilled.
Yeah.
First post on the OnlyFans.
I've always been very resentful of wet t-shirt contests because I am of an athletic build. So
Oh, I like that. That's a good way to put it.
yeah, I saw that on like, what kind of bra is right for you? And then it said like for the flat chested, it's the athletic build.
You know what? When I joined, I think it was Bombfell. It's like, what shape are you? And it's like oval, pear, and it's like, no, I'm a box. There we go. I'm not a triangle. I'm a box. I'm even and even.
Yeah,
I could live with that.
You're the box.
you're the box.
You're the box.
The man in the box.
I do want you to know, Bonnie. I didn't know if you would make it for a happy hour, so I did pick you up some mead, but it looks like you're rocking a cider instead.
Yeah, I picked some up because I noticed that we were all out.
Yeah, I did too. It's funny because like you don't remember the intervening time. Mm-hmm. You remember buying an awful lot of beverages, thinking that's gotta be it, right? I'm taken care of. And then you remember being surprised that they're all gone.
Yeah, this is true. I stopped off. This is the first time I've stepped into a store. I stopped off at the, I had to decide. I was like, is a liquor store going to be more crowded? Or I did stop because I needed gas. So I went ahead and got gas and waited for
oh my
no
God,
cars.
You're drinking gas station cider? Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
No, I don't know.
And I did wash off my bottles because the lady with the gloves was all like the top came off.
I know what you're thinking of. You're
handled
thinking those are the same gloves that handled every single person's money.
That's exactly
They're all
it.
dirty gloves.
I mean, it wasn't like she was putting on a fresh pair for every person. So like, you know.
I do want to point out that Night Scoops contributed 100 bits just for Bonnie. Like the moment your wet T-shirt showed up.
My big wet soggy T-shirt contest. You didn't know it was a sweatshirt soggy T-shirt contest, but
No.
Hey man, wet is wet.
Wet is wet. Thank you. Thank you
so-
for the 100 bits. That's like a dream come true in a weird way.
So Justin, how did you spend your Friday?
Oh, pretty much just doing podcasts. It's all I do, Brian. I'm hooked up to the Matrix. I just out pump content. I breathe in oxygen and I.
But who's today? What were you on? What, the morning stream?
No. Today was woke up and started doing the PX3 show, and then I was on did the 2 hours of streaming, and then guested for another 30 minutes with this other dude that had like popped in. So he was also a political streamer, so I hopped on with him for like 30 minutes, and then worked on the rest of the PX3 show. Ate a little lunch, did a push-up, ate an egg on it. And,
what else can you do with it? Hey, speaking of which, you're watching Better Call Saul, right?
No.
Oh, you're not.
No.
This is not a spoiler, but there is a minor.
That's a surefire spoiler.
I think
that's what Brian Brushwood says.
I think I'm going to get away with this one. I think I'm going to get away with this one. The dude who says, "I've been saying we should blow up the moon for years," did a push up on it, ate an egg on it. What else can you do with it? That actor whose name escapes me, but was in all of Mr. Show, has a tiny role as like a 20-year-old commercial guy in but that is prominently featured in the overall arc of the episode. So like it's very bizarre and delightful to see Bob Odenkirk and that dude, two Mr. Show alums, on Better Call Saul. Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Hey, so some folks were asking me why I don't do the morning stream, and I felt bad because I used to have the excuse of I have an erratic schedule and I can't commit to it, but I guess I can't do that anymore, and I totally should reach out to Scott Johnson because I love those guys and I would love to hang out with them, but I feel weird just saying, hey, now that the apocalypse is here, could I do your show?
I bet everybody wants your lousy content.
yeah, right? Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't even know how I got on the morning stream. I'll bet you what happened is I probably just got on the same way I got on BB Live Show.
I was about to say, here's what I think happened is both of us were sort of, asked probably at the same level, at the same frequency, but one of us had more ambition to expand their outreach than the other, and that in all of those tiny ways, you showed up a little harder, a little more often, and a little more on time than I did. And as a result, you kind of became one of the favored cast, and I became the guy that has been on a few times.
Aww.
Well, I think in my mind, it happened like this. We had Scott on Night Attack, and maybe it was Scott and Brian both together because they were promoting the morning stream, and at that point it was new. He had not done it a lot, from the point that we had him on, and I told him, hey, if you want, because they were having guests on, I'm like I think there was an empty guest calendar, and I think I volunteered myself for a slot on the guest calendar. And at that point, I was doing weird news because we were still doing.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Weird things, yeah. And then eventually, it just became Justin talks about whatever Justin wants to talk about, and thankfully, I've been able to do it because I don't think anybody else does that. I think it's only me that just gets to bark about whatever. But that's more probably because I'm bad at planning. But
well,
yeah.
let it be said, and this is not like a veiled request for somebody to reach out on my behalf. Like I will be an adult and I will reach out to Scott and Brian on my own. But I mean, nowadays, like I like your style, Justin. Figuring out that the days go by a little bit faster when you spend all day in the moment podcasting, doing the best content on the goddamn internet. I think I can make time to do that.
Yeah, dude, it's the height. The height of all entertainment is like I literally just I finally got back into Hearthstone.
Oh, shoot. What it's a Hearthstone update. By the way, Brian's at level 6 diamond. Only that puts me, I believe, 17 victories in a row away from legend. So yeah. I'm getting real close.
So I started things off by just going to HS Replay and trying to figure out which deck I wanted to use. And then I immediately probably landed on about the same deck that you have, because I remember you saying that there were 2 cards that you had to get through solo adventures.
Yes, which by the way is a good sort of a gating mechanism where it's like, you know, that not everybody on the ladder has bothered to play that solo adventure. So if you can invest the 2 days to get through that crap, then whether that's the best deck in the world or not, it at least is a deck that not everybody is able to play, except for those who have spent 2 days going through that side quest.
Yeah. Although, you can once you buy the thing, you can just skip to whatever battle. So I just went to the 2 battles that
you went straight to the last battle. I didn't know you could do that. It looked like it was locked.
Well, I don't know if it was the last. I don't know if we're talking about the same deck. I'm talking about the warrior, the dragon warrior.
No.
Dragon hunter.
Mine is a mech paladin, and the only way to get those 2 cards is on the last level of both the evil adventure and the hero's adventure. So
okay.
I had to finish the whole freaking thing to get those 2 cards.
I went through the evil one, so maybe I'll spend the time to go through the good one today. But I got the 1 card that I wanted from the good one. But yeah, I started. It was great. I was planning on working on stuff, but then I just definitely like took an edible and just like zoned out on it.
Oh my god!
I mean, which is helpful, because under an edible, like, you've got about 3 lifetimes to make every decision in that game.
Brian, sometimes, Brian, it's so long that you forget what decision you've already made. That's the problem. That's where you gotta constantly be writing like memento style, like on your hand, like, I've already played this card.
There was some sports story. This is a stand-up comedian's bit that I'm stealing from 30 years ago, about a famous pitcher who did a no-hitter, and it came out later that he was high on LSD, and the joke was, well, it's a lot easier to pitch a no-hitter when the glove is talking to you.
Yeah.
Like giving you full recommendations. Oh, did you just bust ass?
I just busted some ass. I busted some ass while.
Yeah, that thing.
T-shirt.
That seat's getting hot T-shirt action. Watch Bonnie bust ass.
God.
Hey Brian, do you want some entertainment news?
Goddamn right. Feed it to me.
This, I think we might have even talked about this toward the end of the episode yesterday, but HBO now putting all these shows here on the free version of HBO Now and HBO Go, but Succession, Veep, The Sopranos, this is just, I don't know whether or not this feels like the world coming together or death rattle.
To be honest, I maybe this is an age thing, and this will be an interesting litmus test to find out just how far apart we are. I totally remember every year each of the big premium cable channels, the movie channel, Showtime, Cinemax, and HBO, would have some number of days where it was just a free weekend. And you're like, oh my God, do we suddenly have HBO now? And then they were real not shy about letting you know that this was a temporary arrangement. So as a result, that's all this feels like to me. It doesn't feel weird or necessarily even coronavirus related. It just feels like that's the same game they've been playing, just now they have an excuse to do it.
Yeah, I do remember that. Because usually it would happen when the first episode of when they got big with like the Sopranos and stuff like that, they would put those free weekends when those shows debuted.
Right.
So everybody would see that first episode, and then you'd be like, fuck. Tony said the gabagool. I gotta go over there and get the HBO free. Dial up. Telestream.
Gabagool, that makes me a chumpy fool if I don't subscribe to HBO right now.
I'm gonna be a real dorkalata.
Oh, one of these days, Tony Soprano, bang, zam, right to the head. That's a catchphrase they had, right?
That was Tony's catchphrase.
Oh, okay,
yeah. That's what he would say. Like, one of these days, Richie Aprile, pow, zam, I'm gonna murder you.
Oh my God.
So,
Oh!
so does it shock you at all? I mean, I assume you already have an HBO subscription, right?
I do, and I've seen most of the shows that I would want to see anyway. But I don't. You know, I mean, there's just so much. It's like weird. Like the world is just kind of upside down right now. That part of me is like, you want to know what? That's awesome. Like, should I be taking this moment to text everybody that I know that hasn't seen The Wire that they should watch The Wire right now?
Oh, geez, only if you want to lose all your friends. Because let me tell you, if there's one stigma associated with people who've seen The Wire and appreciate how awesome it is, it's the fact that they're that guy when it comes to recommending The Wire.
All right, is there a show that you would do that? I mean, like, all right, so let's say that you wanted to recommend something. Is there anything that you would say by reputation that you don't want to actually go out? It would, despite the fact that you
Battlestar
enjoyed
Galactica. If there was some kind of reason that Battlestar Galactica was suddenly free, or maybe The Expanse, I could sci-fi out on that. The Expanse, even though I'm a hypocrite because I fell off once my wife abandoned me and watched all the episodes without me.
Which one?
Which wife? You.
No, which show?
The Expanse.
Oh, yeah, no, you were like, I am never going to watch this.
No. You got ahead of me, and then
hold
you
on,
were.
Hold on.
Dun dun dun.
Judge
Dun 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 dun. He says that she started watching The Expanse without him. Dun dun dun. She says he's a real piece of shit. Dun 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 dun.
No, wait a minute. Hold on, wait. This is the intro, right? So I'm going to do my turn.
Okay.
Oh my God.
No, The Expanse is
go.
great.
Bonnie,
Yes.
please go ahead. You've been accused. You are the accused here. You are being accused of violating the.
I gave her permission. I'll
Whoa,
sorry, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I spoke out of turns.
What the fuck, Brian? This has like the fucking easiest build. Jesus.
I take it back, Your Honor. I never agreed to nothing. I want my lawyer. This is a reality show. This isn't a real court.
I'm gonna get another 5 words in, and then Brian's gonna be like, "This isn't a spoiler, but
Exactly.
all right, so Bonnie, you what were you told? What do you believe you were told?
Well, he just was never available for me, is the thing. He was just never around.
Your Honor, hold on, Your Honor.
Whoa. All right, here we go. Bonnie, so he was never around because he was working, and you really wanted to watch The Expanse?
If you call playing Hearthstone is working.
Whoa, Your Honor. Whoa.
All right. You better settle it down before I settle you down. Now, Brian, you have just been accused of playing Hearthstone too much and neglecting your wife's desire to watch The Expanse.
All right, Your Honor, can I submit to the record Exhibit A, this Sharpie right here?
Yes.
Okay, where's the bailiff? I have to have you take a look at it. That's the pen that signed my death warrant if I ever cross this woman. She is she's a monster. She's a terrorist. She's watching all the shows without me. Your Honor, she doesn't even approve of me watching Rick and Morty with my 12-year-old.
All right. Well, I
rest
feel
my
like
case.
I feel like we're in a little bit of mission creep here. Brian, do you deny that you played Hearthstone so much that you did not leave adequate time to watch, let alone binge, The Expanse?
There may have been a flight back from Nova Scotia on which there was a decision to be made. We both had Wi-Fi, and Bonnie wanted to watch The Expanse, and I was kind of watching, but I was also playing a little bit of Hearthstone. And then maybe I didn't quite follow. She just went, and then I took a nap, and then when I woke up, she was 2 episodes ahead, and we never got synced again.
Nope.
All right. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
Now I understand that Brian, was not a diligent viewing partner on the plane.
Yes.
But did you ever give Brian an opportunity to maybe catch up on the episode so you could resync up, or was the horse out of the barn?
Oh, well, after he had excursions with many other shows without me, I just gave up. I
told her it was,
I have
Your Honor, it
things
was work.
to do.
Objection, objection, objection.
Whoa. Hey, you better shut up before you get caught up.
And then you brandish a knife. That's your gimmick. There's
Take
you.
out a hunting knife.
It turns out your gavel is a switchblade, and then you hit a button and like blades come out.
Oh my god!
Yep. Judge Slice.
Your Honor, I would like to remind the court that my job is to watch certain shows like Better Call Saul, which, by the way, last episode was quite good. I look forward to you getting all caught up. But the and it is out of my hands whether or not I would love to watch with her. But when a show comes out on a Sunday night and I'm expected to have a review in depth on it Monday afternoon, and there's, for some goddamn reason, 5 fucking shows that come out on Sunday nights, so that I have to watch one the night before and then waste my morning watching the other 3 before I go in and talk about it the following day. I'm saying I'm trying to keep food on the table, Your Honor.
So you're saying you were just following orders?
In a sense, I suppose.
All right. Well, hold on. Let me deliberate for a second. Okay, I've deliberated. Bonnie,
Yes.
you obviously have built up resentment because Brian has to watch so many shows, many of which you would like to have a normal television viewing relationship with your husband where you could enjoy so many more prestige television shows.
That's all I want.
You have built a career based on watching television shows, and it does bring in money for your family and for Bonnie.
Does it?
Whoa! Girl, I got the receipts.
Before you object, I would say you reject that idea.
You're surprisingly good at this.
Don't make me submit evidence B.
Oh crap! Ah man, this bit was gonna be really, really great if this would happen. Hold on, we might actually do it anyway.
What?
The reason why Brian has to watch all these episodes is because of a show he does with Tom Merritt. So I'm outsourcing this decision.
Oh.
Call Tom Merritt. And we're gonna see whether or not Bonnie, you are in the right here.
Your Honor, now's a good time for me to remind everyone to go to freebrianbrushwood.com.
I think he's still probably on the DTNS post show.
Oh.
Hey, well, no, it's actually a production meeting, but
Production meeting. Okay,
can I
Tom, 2 seconds. Is Brian a dick because he watched is Bonnie in the wrong because she watched The Expanse without Brian because he watched so many other television shows for cord killers without her?
I'm going to have to say I also watched The Expanse without Brian, and he has often continued to watch things without me for spoiler time, so I'm on Bonnie's side for this.
Oh,
Okay,
David,
thank you very much.
you're all Judases. Team Judas.
There we go. I'm sorry, but that's the final cut. And
And then the episode ends with you chopping off the head of the plaintiff or the defendant.
live from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, it is Judge Cuts McGee.
Man, that was a wild moment. The first time I did, one of the first times I did Andrew Heaton's podcast, we were talking about Saudi Arabia, and I opened up the Wikipedia on Saudi Arabia just to, familiarize myself with it. And damned if it didn't read like an episode of Game of Thrones. like I was like, I'm sorry, this is a real place. This is a real place where this shit happens.
So you would actually really enjoy this. There's an interview going up next week on the PX3 show about the history of oil, the political history of oil, and it centers largely around Saudi Arabia. But yeah, like they went through the House of Saud basically goes through this like Game of Thrones little like power struggle for basically this random ass corner of the Middle East that is only really of value because they have a tourism trade of people that come to worship Mecca. They're drilling for water because that's really what they want, and up came a bubbling crude.
Yeah. And how wild that
Black gold.
non-potable water. Please don't drink it. Don't feed it to your livestock either. But don't worry. Trust this government entity to funnel it into a thing called money. Oh, money, that'll feed my family, won't it? No, it won't. It will. It can be exchanged for those things. Oh, great. And you're going to give it to us? Well, we're going to spread it around as we see fit. You're like, oh, so you're going to give it to me to feed my family and my livestock? About that.
Basically.
How do you feel about BMWs?
That's one heard, right? Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. No, it's a crazy country, and man, lot of money. They're in a
Somebody in the chat is asking, why is it when the economy is bad, gas prices are so cheap? Yeah, when they're good, gas is expensive. Because when the economy is bad, economy is the speed of the engine running, and if the engine is running slowly, you don't need a lot of fuel to power that engine. Whereas when the engine is running fast, you need a lot of fuel, and it gets more expensive.
Yeah. Also, Saudi Arabia and Russia are kind of in a pissing match right now.
Oh yeah, they're pissing oil on each other. They're having a black shower. They're like, here's more black gold.
It's in my eye. It's in your eye. Oil fight. Yeah, no. So that's why it's super cheap right now. They're having themselves the time.
Uh-oh. You coming to show me something? What do you got?
I just got started earlier.
Oh, on our next thing. Oh, yeah. Okay, Bonnie's heading out. She's actually already planning the next party. There was a brief but wonderful visit from Bonnie for the happy hour. But, normally on Friday nights, we go over to the Wizard Academy. And this morning, Bonnie hit me up with, and I know it took me a while to reach balance and understand the idea. But what she meant was, hey, there's a lot of people we've not seen for over a month now because we go to this same distillery every single week and we haven't seen them for a while. Can we do a thing so we can see our favorite people?
Yeah.
But what I heard this morning is, hey, after you do the happy hour, what if we, I can't remember. She probably said we, I heard you hosted a Zoom meeting with everybody. And like I visibly deflated. It was like replacing Cheers with a board meeting. And I was just like,
have you done a Zoom happy hour yet?
No, this will be my first. As a matter of fact, we're literally just about to do it the moment we wrap up this, and some people are showing up early. That's why Bonnie had to bug out.
So, dude, all right. Can I just tell you? I think you're gonna low key enjoy it.
Really? Because what I was afraid of is that it would be, and again, not that you and I both love hosting live streams. We love joining live streams. We love hosting podcasts. We love joining podcasts. All of that, I feel like both of us firmly place under category W for work, right? And so. Yes. Going to the distillery, hanging out with a bunch of people that I love, I put under play. And so when it was pitched to me this morning, hey, that time, I missed that time where we P for play. Sorry, came out wrong. How about we W for work instead? And I was not a fan. So this is exactly what it's at.
All right. Here's what you're missing. Number one, we are used to doing things as performers.
Correct.
Right. We are used to perform.
Keeping the conversation afloat, rebounding, playing pass the buck, playing dodgeball, playing punch the little kid. Playing sorry, to cover your cough, I was going to come up with increasingly awful games.
That's fine. What two things you're not factoring in? Number one, you're good at, imagine that now everybody at the distillery all wore a mask and they were all trying to figure out how to get this mask off. And you were the only one who, after 10 years of working with this restriction, now is able to just talk and have a good time and also know basically how these kind of like hangouts work, where it's like, all right, there's a great moment where everybody goes like, hey, and they see each other and there's some happiness and there's joy. There is this moment of connection that like you and I know is real,
Right.
because we've actually developed friendships exclusively online. But now you get to rekindle a lot of that. But also, and this is really what you're not factoring in, everyone else isn't great and it's adorable.
Oh, you're saying that what I'm forgetting is I'm thinking about what I put into it, and I'm not
Yes.
dialed in on what I could get out of it and what I can get. So if P is for play and W is for work, S is for Schadenfreude.
Oh yeah, or you're just like, oh, you. Now it might not last for a long time, but you will enjoy it at the very least initially, where you're like, oh, look at this, that everybody's doing a thing. Also, Brian,
Yes.
you ever want for people to understand that the career that you have chosen and
Is
carved out-
actual work. Oh my God. I'm going around. I'm like Mario hitting question marks and receiving, what do you call it? Respect nuggets. That's what I'm getting. People will respect what I do as work.
Oh yeah. Because by the way, now you're the guy who has the place that can broadcast all this stuff. You should do the Zoom meeting from the fucking set. In fact, you should go set it up. You should light yourself. You should put on makeup. Like, you should just look like $1 billion while everybody else looks like abject trash. And then everybody will have a really, really good time. And you'll be like, yep, I'm just here on my set. You know, it's very easy. All I have to do is just plug the video capture into a new thing.
I love everything about this. As a matter of fact, we did something a little bit weird last night that I'm not going to lie. Part of it was it was an easy pop because it was timely, but also I think we talked about this. Like in this past week, multiple millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars of over the last few months of live performances have been canceled or rearranged or figured something else out. And we've got friends who are magicians who like in one day, $40,000 of bookings just evaporate or whatever. Yeah. And thankfully, a solution that everybody's agreeing upon, we'll see if it continues to survive. Hopefully this won't autoplay here. Is the idea of doing a live show online with people. And so we wanted to do a Scam Nation episode about that, partly because this is relevant to everybody who's professional, but also we're aware that on Scam Nation, formerly Scam School, not everybody is a performing, touring magician. So at the very least, we can talk about this phenomenon and then also go behind the scenes, because it's been long enough that that people are asking, you know, how our setup goes, and we finally had an excuse to share it. Let me see if I can get content up on screen. But yeah, there we go. So we did a live stream for an hour last night. I got my friend Michael Kent, who's sort of at the forefront of doing these live magic shows, person to person. And we talked about what you can and can't do from a content perspective, how you virtualize stuff like applause or getting a volunteer up from the audience. And then we took kind of a behind the scenes tack where we talked about lighting. We talked about how you can get away with doing everything just on your iPhone if you want. And then there was a brief moment that we got to kind of flex and show off our studio. But there was one of the things that Bryce put together is there's apparently some software that you put on your iPhone that speaks directly to your Wi-Fi router, and then it shows up as an input on vMix. So I was able to walk around with his iPhone and give a tour of the studio, which it came out great. And by the way, if you want to find this, it's the most recent thing at youtube.com/scamschool. But
dude, that would be perfect. I really should get vMix.
Yeah, and it's pretty affordable. But this, what you're seeing right now, is me streaming over the Wi-Fi from Bryce's iPhone, and it just shows up as a mix in there, or as another camera input.
Dude, that's fucking crazy.
It was great though, and I didn't. I was really kind of nervous because our crowd is pretty well trained when it comes to what to expect from us and the foibles of live internet streaming, performing, and so on. But the Scam Nation audience is accustomed to a highly polished, very short form thing. Yeah. So I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but John stepped in for the very first time to do the producer role. Bryce got on and shared his expertise. We talked about 3-point lighting, setting up a halo, setting up a background, the importance of picking a camera, how the Logitech C920 is still the best somehow for webcams, about how you adapt the story into the moment, keep conversations afloat, all of that stuff. I feel really, really good about it. And I was surprised that something so peripheral to doing magic would end up being so, I don't know, well balanced on there.
Well, I mean, I think that there's a holistic approach that you take to magic in general, beyond even the tricks, but also like, why are you doing the trick? The concept of Scam School is, hey, would you like to know a trick so the next time you're at a bar you can win a free drink, right? Like, and that is such a great understanding that if you're literal minded, then you're not really going to appreciate what the point of it is. And this is just another step to the other end of that, of like, hey, look, if you want to broadcast your magic during the apocalypse, here's how you do it. Oh, by the way, let me just go ahead and check my ESPN app real quick. Hey, what's the score of the magic clubs versus teaching magic on the internet debate?
They've called it's you know what, it
says it's been canceled because somebody was a fucking idiot and an internet won by a billion. Wow.
I tell you what, I actually am really, really proud of this, and I hope that magicians start passing it around as they want to dip their toes in there, because everything from trying to figure out what looks good in a theatrical context versus what plays in a person-to-person thing, because I'm convinced that someone could put together the very best live stream, live magic appearance, and that if it's good enough, people will spend thousands of dollars as a ticketed event to experience just the live stream. And there'll be just enough input that comes from them in the chat that they will be convinced that all this is live and happening only for this one time right now in front of them. Like imagine if I were to do an hour-long show and it began with me walking around with a phone in an unbroken stream, giving a full tour of the place, so you see just how small it is, how it's only me and Bryson here, and then by the end of the stream, imagine like there's this insane ending. Like, remember when you picked a car and it was a blue Corvette? Look what's parked out in front, and we walk outside and there's a blue Corvette. And remember you so and so. Remember you gave me 6 random digits? Look at the license plate. Like I am convinced somebody can make a show every bit as miraculous and impactful as a live David Copperfield performance and have it be completely over the exact same structure that we're using right now.
Yeah, I think that the best thing about this for magic is that all the lessons that you're going to learn adapting something for this is going to be worth it going forward. Like, they are all about psychological understanding, what in a world of noise cuts through. These are all the most important lessons in terms of storytelling, structure, pacing, all the stuff that magicians tend to kind of run over because they favor the big pop and the illusion and the even on a smaller scale, like, oh, look, like, I just know that there's this crazy moment that if I follow all the instructions, the crazy moment's going to be the thing that carries me. But you can't just have that online. I am so
happy to hear you say that, because that was one of the points I made on the program, was saying that there's what you bring to the table, there's what you have, and then there's the real reason that you're being booked. We like to think as magicians that, oh, I'm here to bring my award-winning comedy magic show to this college audience. But truthfully, we're being booked because it's welcome week and they want some event to create common understanding and social glue between all of these new freshmen. So those are adjacent goals, but don't confuse the one for the other. And if you step away and you stop thinking about like, what do I have and how do I wedge what I have into it, and instead just look at the big picture, then all of a sudden it becomes obvious like, well, can I provide social glue and a shared experience that everybody will remember as incoming freshmen for years to come? And the answer is yes, of course. And then you have to flex, like, how do we get there? What does the shape of this look like? How do we, figure out how to take advantage of social proof to like virtual applause and virtual volunteers being brought up and all that. But to be honest, I kind of adore that it's forcing magicians to become better storytellers, because doing those trappings like shouting for applause and those cheap bits where you force everyone to clap or whatever, that don't play.
Well, yeah. Now it'll be even harder for them to consistently only pick women as volunteers from the audience. There's just a lot of tropes where I think that all of our conversation, and really the beginning of our friendship was based on some of our common gripes about magic. And I think that part of it is unoriginality. My heart breaks for anybody that lost money, that now has bill problems, and they're trying to figure that out. So I don't want to make this into a being callous kind of thing, but taking it totally from a meta 10,000-foot view of the art and where the art is and where the art can go, then number one, boy, does it bring me tremendous schadenfreude that a medium that has shunned the internet as this like harbinger
of their own
angels. Like, now it's like it's like Thanos from Endgame, like, they're all your failure, where did it bring you? Back to me.
There was
the only way they can make a living.
There was one moment that, and I think Pete Waugh, who has been on Scam Nation, longtime friend, he's got a bit of a promo, and he does a smart job of actually, getting volunteers to Skype in so that they can provide that social proof. I don't know if this will play. Let's see here.
Figuring stuff out. There you go. About halfway. Push it flush. To the snap. Goes to the top. Now I know what you guys are thinking. There's the card.
No way! I'm sweating.
Like, there's some part of me that deeply enjoys that there's definitely a place for all the same structures that have made magic work up until this point. Is just going to be a different delivery vehicle.
Yeah, and I think that part of it is, I mean, God, I don't want to feel full of ourselves, but a lot of the lessons that we've learned about making eye contact with the camera and being like able to project your personality through the screen and making it letting down that guard that you have of like anybody who's streamed, anybody who's done anything on the internet knows that maybe forever, but certainly when you're at the beginning, at a certain point, you can delude yourself into thinking that you're connected to the internet, and then eventually you run out of things to say, the world falls away from you, and you just realize you're alone in your room talking to a camera.
So,
and like building up past that is so huge, and I think that's what magicians are going to have to learn.
Yes, and also, one of the things is that it's that extrovert introvert thing. I am thankful for the exposure, and intellectually I understand that 188 viewers are watching us right now live, and thousands of them are listening to this after the fact. But at a visceral level, my adrenaline isn't pumping and my heart's not going crazy and I don't hear the murmur of the crowds. So as a result, when it's over, it's easy to feel kind of like, I don't know, deflated, or you put more energy. I mean, look, I'm sorry, it's a double black diamond. It's a harder course than you were able to play up until then, but it's no less real. And the people you are affecting is no less real, which, by the way, makes me want to bring up and steal Mitsula's idea. What if I were to do a show all about how virtual magicians can reach more people, and we can call it Getting Exposure? And in fact, I could dub myself Brian Brushwood, the exposure king of magic. And if you're a magician who wants to reach more people, well, you got to go to the exposure king, Brian Brushwood.
So I would just love. I know it would literally just be to make 7 people laugh and 14 people angry, but like, oh my God, it would be so funny if you just were like, do you now no longer have any gigs at restaurants, corporate events, theaters, or various other?
Oh shit, we should do this. We should do like a Better Call Saul style ad where it's like, call me, like full on make it look like an lawyer ad. It's just like reaching colleges, businesses, home people, lonely housewives. I can get you in front of all of them. Call Brian, the exposure king of magic. He's been here for you for 12 years and counting.
Yeah, I've been exposing things on the internet for over 14 years. And if there's one thing I know is that there's a way to make a dime. There's God, it would be so funny just because only the worst people on the planet would get mad at it. Like,
well, it would also be like a flat declaration of victory at this point because, and by the way, for anybody who's not familiar, I know we're up against the hour pretty soon, but when I pitched Scam School in 2007, the closest thing that existed to that was the Masked Magician series on broadcast television. It was a time before anybody knew whether or not YouTube was television or not, or whether or not podcasts were television or not. So nobody had addressed the question of, is it appropriate to teach magic in an easy to access, free ad supported format? And at the time, pretty much the universal answer was, you can teach magic only if it's crappy stuff that doesn't affect me personally. And 5 years into the experience, we started teaching magic that, spoiler alert, was good enough that people were like, well, hold on, I like that trick. Now you're taking something away from me. And there was a bit of a dust up, and man, is it good to be on the right side of history on this one.
I mean, that's the thing, is you always knew we were getting here. We did not expect for there to be such a dramatic crescendo, which, is where we're at now, where it's like, for everybody who wanted to be snooty and say, well, you should only learn magic from a master that you meet at a lobby of Howard Johnson, as all revered magic.
Max Temkin, co-creator of Cards Against Humanity, is a very talented, very skilled magician and a really good thinker about this stuff. He we were talking about putting together a program, and he had the best phrase. He said, "No vegetables." I was like, what does that mean? He's like, no shitty tricks that are shitty, but you're telling people they need to learn them for their own good because it teaches this principle or whatever. No vegetables. Every single trick has to be good or you don't teach it. And yes, it's all for beginners. And I was like, I loved it. I love that philosophy. And that's right. Jordan Gold was the other person in the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, and look, there is obviously some, questions that we have had, and we have expressed our issues with how kind of the hierarchy of magic tends to go. At this point now, your only question is like, how much of a helping hand would you like to reach out, and how much would you like to spike the foot?
I'll tell you what, man, despite getting nipped by a portion of that snake, and a very small, very vocal minority in magic has, who believe that all magic should be kept in scrolls at the top of the highest castle, as hard to access as possible. Those people, a few of those have been vocal, but outside of that, it's been so great. Like, I still love magic so much and want the best for everyone in it and the art itself. And part of that, the part that people disagree with, is I believe that means lots of competition. As you and I talked about, there was a time that magic and stand-up comedy were roughly held in equal esteem in the 1980s. One of them became highly competitive because anybody could get on stage and call themselves a comedian, so much so that in the early 90s, there was a complete collapse. They had a complete disaster. But out of the ashes of that came the late 90s comedy movement. And now we're in a golden age where comedians are held in such high esteem that they're essentially the social commentarians of choice. Whereas Magic went the opposite direction. It went full on cartel and made sure as few people as possible were able to get into it. And everybody argued as much as possible about what tricks other people were and weren't allowed to do. And Magic eventually became such a punching bag that it took both David Blaine and the Masked Magicians, both of which were an abject outsider rejection of the protectionist architecture, because, you know, we had our 6th season of people surrounded by purple lights and the same 5 80s techno songs doing illusions, and Magic. It wasn't until, and again, this is going to paint myself in too rosy a light, but until the late aughts that all of a sudden the punk rock movement of democratizing how to learn magic, and all of a sudden tutorials on video are so much easier to learn from, that we started to see, you know, the teens where there are movies where magicians are the heroes. You know, Now You See Me. Magic has never been more respected in my lifetime than it is right now. It's never been more genetically diverse. It's never been more socioeconomically diverse, and it's never been more respected in my lifetime. So much like, you know, Switchblade gavel in, the verdict is in, and it's good to be on the right side of history.
Well, Brian, like so many conversations I've had in my life, this one is about to end because we wouldn't shut up about Magic. So we're going to have to say goodbye for the week. But this is the first week of Night Attack Happy Hours. Certainly, this is at least going to roll on through the month, but hopefully people dug it.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I was totally stealing myself for some kind of backlash for us dropping all this in the main feed, but I've seen nothing but positive comments on everything.
Yeah. So I think, look, there are no happy hours on the weekends because all the weekend hours are happy. But we will be back on Monday.
Yeah, dude. Look, we love you guys. You got anything to promote as I try to figure out how to take us out?
Oh yeah, Brian, I'm promoting this dog I saw. Boy, howdy, was this dog going crazy. It was looking at other things and barking at stuff. I mean, I don't even know what it was. Maybe it was the coronavirus. Anyway, that's it.
All right, we'll see you on Monday for another happy hour. We love you guys. Thanks for making this possible.
I get no kick from champagne. Mere alcohol, it doesn't move me at all. So tell me, why should it be true that I get a kick out of you?
Sauteed, a hot flame, big rings, fat chains, they all quest for the same. No name, huge game, strictly new to the thing. We stay true to the game and never bring it to shame. We tight like dreadlocks, a red fox and ripple. We pass participles and smash the artist in you.